everybody, welcome to episode 233 of Red Wings Rant, where tirades and impassioned pleas for your Detroit Red Wings finally have a home. Let's see, Jeff's gone. We had a press conference, and there's other NHL news. There's like playoffs and stuff. So, yeah, it's going to be a really lengthy conversation, ladies and gentlemen. Somebody, Mike, is this you? Did you set up a YouTube account? Oh, I muted you. Because Mike was eating chips, so I had to mute him before we started. Mike, all right, so I'm guessing that's not you, but somebody.
I didn't know the mic was going to pick up a fresh bag of corn chips. Man, they were delicious. Kroger brand. That is not me. That is one of my brothers in arms, a fellow Mike, saying, "Let's go Red Wings."
Well, speaking of fellow brothers in arms, Matt Chewy. What's going on, Chewy? Performance art, Hasek for goalie coach. Again, we just get this trend right on rolling.
That's only if Norm Miracle's not available.
This is the University of Michigan way of hiring your new personnel. Have you sniffed the university? Yes? Get over here.
Come on down. You're more qualified than most.
Hey, our background's not normal. I just realized that. Where's our...
It is Abby normal.
Fantasy Hockey Arena. Who's been... There we go. That's the arena we want to be in.
Oh,
Little
yeah.
Caesars Arena. That's right. So, yeah, like I mentioned, there's a million things to talk about. But we did have a nice Steve Yzerman press conference. So if you guys want to chit chat about that, I think today's the day to do it. So like I already mentioned, I mean, just one episode ago, we talked about our poll out there for who would you bring in as the next coach for the Detroit Red Wings. And Steve let us know that all of those options we talked about are pretty good options because he has no tight line of requirements that he's holding his coaching candidates to. So everyone we talked about is up for grabs. You've got your Igors, you've got your professors, your Sergeys, Gromborg. You've got your Lanes could still fit in there. Your Lamberts from the Islanders. I did fail a little bit here because there was somebody in the comments, and I'm gonna try and bring this up now while we're chit-chatting. There was somebody in the comments from the last episode. Actually, I shouldn't say somebody. It was most definitely Curtis, who comes aboard all the time to chat with us. He gave a good option. I just don't remember what it was, so I got to go back through the studio and take a peek.
Beautiful.
Hey, Curtis is here now. Curtis, just throw it in the... There he is. Derek Lalonde. There we go. Coming from Tampa Bay. Why not? So part of the hiring process Steve ran through down in Tampa. Talked about, Mike, it wasn't just... So, I'll pull this up again. It wasn't just, that we would have a shot here. So I said, let's go Red Wings, or hashtag let's go Red Wings, Twitter fam suiting up. Because Steve said there's no tight line of requirements for his next coaching candidate. So we were all up there until Steve said he wants to make sure it's somebody he knows, or that he knows the guy, because that's like his preference, I should say.
Yeah, it definitely sounds like he wants some familiarity with the guy. I think that does bum me out a little bit that you have to have rubbed elbows with Steve before. But I understand why. His first coaching hire only lasted 2 years? But then the next coach he hired doing pretty well, back-to-back Stanley Cup champion, of course. So I still think that leaves open my theory that the way that they keep saying that I don't necessarily have like a hard line about what kind of qualities you need to have, just some sort of familiarity with me. So I've talked to you before, and our first time meeting is not in a job interview. I still think that kind of leaves open the door my theory that the Red Wings, are the first team to really go abroad to bring in NHL talent. And I think they're probably going to go abroad to get a coach, because it sounds like when he's saying, I'm not so much looking for NHL head coaching experience. I think what he's saying is the NHL, the guys with NHL like head coaching experience right now, I don't really care about. So I think he's definitely opening up the door for, an AHL guy, or in my case, an SHL guy.
I mean, it's his comment about knowing the guy. I felt immediately it was like that hurt our chances of getting somebody from overseas. So that was my.
Because I just feel like they communicate with those guys with, other highly touted draft picks have played, in the SHL over there. So, I mean, like they've had to talk to those guys to figure out, why are you playing them on the first or second line? What are you seeing from them? Are they, looking healthy? Are they improving? So, I mean, like going from like scouting department, up to Steve, I could still see some sort of familiarity there.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's what I want. I just, when we talked in the last episode about Lane coming from the Islanders, again, the big thing that Max Boltman threw out there when we were pulling this, we were pulling that idea from his article. Yzerman's former teammate and roommate. So that's like, you hear that comment about, I want to know the guy because he wants to know, probably like, I want to do things around here. I need to know that I can trust you to do, to follow along the Yzerplan way. And, man, I got to tell you, my dog is barking in the background and it is driving me up a wall. I want to go running upstairs now.
I don't know about you guys, but it's not hitting my microphone or my headset at all. I don't hear it.
He's been barking as hard and as fast as possible since we started recording. And he's a little guy. He's like a little 10-pound dog, so it's not the most fun bark in the world to hear.
Oh, it's not hitting the sound too hard, so I think we're okay.
That's fine. I don't care about you guys. I'm gonna lose. Like it's like that the old torture of having like the little drip of water. Like every time, like he stops barking for a second and then he starts going at it again. Just this rah, 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 rah. And he's just got this constant cadence. Oh my god.
Yeah. That's my hero.
Brad in here on the comments letting us know we went about 10 minutes early. Brad, come on, Brad. Performance art. If they make Alex the new head coach, I'm going to lose it and start cheering for the Leafs.
Hey, performance art. That might work out this season, huh? Little 1-0 lead on the champs, huh? Yeah.
Start cheering now if you're going to decide to do that. It looked really good after that first game.
You know what? These NHL first rounds are too long. I think it should be, one game. I'm trying to get the Maple Leafs to the second round. That's what I'm doing. So that's what I was getting at.
Nobody's going to agree. We're on a Red Wings.
Let's do one game series. Yeah, come on. But yeah, it better not be Tanguay, and I don't think it will be.
I did think it was interesting that question was brought up in the press conference with Steve. Like, hey, Tanguay is still aboard. What the heck's going on here? And it just, I guess maybe it's something that gets addressed later. It doesn't. I don't know. It's not like I looked at what we saw and it was like, gotta keep him. And if you're going to bring in a new head coach, don't you kind of want to?
Yeah, don't you want your own boys, like your own staff?
Yeah.
Like who's this guy?
No. You gotta figure this out with Alex. It's like, why? What attachment do we have? It's been one season. We can let him go.
I mean, Alex, were you really good at your job and you coached a top 5 power play? Well,
yeah, you gotta treat it like the old 38 Special 80s song.
We were a top 25 power play, So I don't know. I'm not, trying to throw too much shade at the guy, but it was a little puzzling that somehow Alex kept his job. So,
I don't know. Yeah, so we've got that one to deal with. I do feel like this is gonna be a short episode. We're super light on content.
It happens.
We got comments coming in, and I think they're about things that I've already forgotten what we talked about. That really sucks. Performance art, new blood. I get the feeling it's going to be from Sweden as well. I think that's my preference right now. And we showed our video of Gronborg to end the last episode. A lot of excitement, a lot of energy. I think would be fun behind the bench. Not to say that Jeff didn't have his moments, but I mean, if you're looking for reasons to bring in a guy, we can start to make that list a little bit longer.
Yeah, I'm not like against, for example, Fedorov or Larionov being our coach, because I just don't know enough about him. But I don't want that little rat in my brain to be like, well, you got a job because you won a cup with Yzerman. Like, not necessarily maybe that you were the best coach, which who am I to even judge Yzerman decisions? But I don't even want that I don't want that rat to even be fed. I would just rather it be new blood. That's why I would kind of lean towards an SHL guy who's, obviously been coaching Red Wing prospects in the very recent past.
Casey McIntyre, sorry, Mike. Casey McIntyre throws out, if you guys watch Woodward Sports, you could tell D-Mac knows something and can't say it. You can tell he wants to. And then Curtis is doing a little bit of investigating here in the comments. He wants to know what's going on. But Casey just says the last few D-Mac clips they've posted, you could tell he knows something. Says he has the Yzerman playbook.
I think I know what Casey's getting at. Our new head coach, Darren McCarty. Woo! See, Casey, I know those guys, they have to talk a little bit, right? Because they're always bumping it. They're in the same crowds. There's a lot of overlap. But I just don't know if I would consider Darren McCarty the vault. You know what I mean? So Yzerman being so secretive, I would be stunned if he did an up down on Darren and said, "Here's a man I can trust all my secrets to." I mean, this guy, everything as close to the vest as possible. There's no way. I would be stunned. I mean, D-Mac was trying to, keep his marijuana smoke to a trying to be a little bit subtle with that. And then he gave us a hug and a big puff of smoke came out. So, I mean, I'm not on board with that. I'm sorry.
Do you mean when we met him at Little Caesars Arena?
I can't decide if it's when we met him or when he started rolling a joint during our interview.
Well, he didn't give you a hug on over Zoom. So I'm
well, as far as his being subtle about it.
Eric Johnson's aboard. He says, "Hi guys." I like that. Hi. That's kind of cute. Derek Hand is aboard. Derek coming in. Heard Blash might be headed over to Michigan. It'd be kind of fun. Good old Blash. But
is he taking like some adult education classes or what's he doing?
Mike, I think he might be coaching a hockey team.
No.
So some more ways to dissect Steve Yzerman press conference. He gave us this line, Mike. Wasn't a complete shit show.
That's a quote.
Wasn't a complete shit show.
Is that a quote?
Yes. Now, I think what's funny, the context in this made it sound like Steve was like getting behind Blashill, but this actual phrase means that part of it was a shit show. And there were bits and pieces. I mean, we know. I mean, some of those games got out of hand, and it really just, like we talked about, it looked like Blash was really losing control. But I really thought.
Can I push back immediately on this one? Can I push back immediately? It definitely feels like it was a shit show, but he doesn't. Obviously, one factor is already gone, and I would say the first factor is probably the big one, right? So, don't worry, Blashill. So it wasn't a complete shit show because there's still some players I like, but shit show is gone. That's how I would interpret that.
I mean, the shit show is not gone, right? Because we've talked about it forever. We need the players to be upgraded here. We need this roster to get a kick in the butt. We need some of these guys gone. We need some new guys to come in. We've had our episodes talk about how we want to do that. So I would say from your comment, the shit show's not over until we see a lot more changes. But I did think it was funny because I thought that was a point that we landed on in the last episode, was that it was a shit show. And I just thought it was funny. That was the word choice Yzerman had that day without it's not like one of the beat writers was like, Steve, this is quite the shit show. What did you think? And Steve's response, well, I mean, it wasn't a complete shit show. He just, without being asked, threw out there. Just want to let you guys know this wasn't a complete shit show. I think
was that the opening statement for the presser?
He sat down and threw that out there. No,
well, this wasn't a complete shit show, but definitely a lot of shit this year. A lot of shit.
It was telling to me because he apologized for the turn of phrase before he used it, so it's one that's been crawling in the back of his head. So I just think it's funny. I mean, it clearly, it's not like we're looking at this and going from like the front office perspective. This thing is a shit show, but I mean, clearly.
I really want to piggyback on what you said, because a lot of the times with those interviews, with the press, they'll kind of latch onto the phrase, from the question to be like, Steve, was this year a little bit of a disappointment? Were you a little bit let down? And then he'll say, well, it wasn't quite a disappointment. We had, A, B, and C went well for us this year, or we weren't completely let down, X, Y, and Z worked out. But for him to open it with, wasn't a complete shit show. I mean, that was definitely a rat in his brain that he couldn't get it. He had to get it out. He had to express it. So, I mean, he definitely was pretty crushed by this season. Definitely thought it could have went better. Jared, yeah. Thank you, Jared, for saying Yzerman watches this channel. I appreciate that.
He most definitely does.
Yeah.
Now there was, we got to throw in some of these that they're kind of bouncing in my head. I have screenshots pulled up, and those are the ones, I want to make sure we don't forget about. So like, what are we really going to pull from this one? But I really thought it was hilarious. Steve Yzerman, when asked about his timeline, the end of year 3, beginning of year 4. Great, great job, Steve. Like Steve throwing in some hot and heavy dad energy on that one. Yeah, this is maybe that was. I like Jared's comment here. Maybe McCarty shared it with him. That was on the shit show side of things. Now.
What I take from this too,
yeah.
like for Steve, he always feels so guarded and measured. I almost feel like there's no indicator of how he actually feels emotionally about this team. Like he's always trying to keep that distance. That he's managing something like that. He's not like into it. You know what I mean? Like it's the way he handles it, it's more of a job. It's not like a personal relationship necessarily. He's just trying to groom all these guys all the time. Like he's got that purposeful distance. But I mean, these last 2 comments about the shit show and the end of year 3 and the beginning of year 4, that means to me that he's kind of fed up, both with the performance and the critiques. So I think he definitely wants to do something that silences those critiques, right? To turn things around and do things that are within his power. And that's where this, fascinating wide open cap sheet's going to come into play. This search for a new coach. Because I don't think he just brought the sarcasm out a little bit. So, I mean, that's kind of more revealing to me about how he felt about this season. I think he was pretty pissed about how it turned out. I think that, this could have been a 500 team, maybe with a little bit different coaching style. And I think Steve would agree with that, which is why he seems just a little, for Yzerman, emphatically pissed off.
Well, I mean, it goes along the lines too of some of the stuff we want to bring up here, and I want to give credit to Ricky because he's reading our slides ahead of time. There's our boy Soderblom. Ricky throws out there, let's not forget about it. He talked about Elmer for a bit. This is Ricky's comment. First things first, we got to lock down that contract with Elmer, then bring in Wallander and Albert over to North America. Of course, Johansson. I did really like the conversation that came up with Elmer. There seems to be a lot of confidence in what Elmer's done over the last year. I think you and I mean, we've done our part to try and share every single Soderblom highlight that comes along, and we're super stoked. We want to see what this unicorn of a man can do. Like, how long is it going to take defenses to figure this guy out, especially if he starts putting out, get him over to North America. get them in these fast food lines. Let's bulk them up. You know, let's clog some of these arteries a little bit here with some of the fast food options we've got, and let's teach them the American way. You know, but that's step number one for Elmer is getting him over here. And it did sound like Steve was pretty confident that was going to happen. It was just one of those things where he's just talking about it like, well, we just need to get the contract done. And it's refreshing to hear that. I think it's pretty exciting. I feel like we've even talked about Elmer where it was like in the past, yes, I'd like to have him over. Doesn't feel like with other things that Steve's done that we're going to see that contract get signed soon. No, but now it does. Now he actually came out and just said, yeah, that's one of our goals is to get that contract signed. But I also wanted to bring up too, we had to your last point about how I guess about how much Steve just pulls back, right? And he reveals nothing. Talking about Berggren, I love the way he does this. This is the quote. Does he have a chance to make the team next year? He does have a chance. Is he a lock to make it? I don't think so. I sit here today and I say, hey, I'm not going to pencil Jonathan Berggren in. I'm sure he. this is how Steve Yzerman sounded. Hey, I'm not going to pencil Jonathan Berggren into the lineup, but I'm also not going to say he's destined to play in Grand Rapids. Let's see how training camp goes. Let's see how the preseason goes, and we'll make a determination at that point. So it's one of those things where you would look at this roster, and with the season that Berggren just had, like he needs a new challenge. Right? Like that makes sense. Same thing for Soderblom. That doesn't mean he's going to be on the Red Wings roster. Most certainly, the next challenge for Soderblom is the North American game. And for Berggren, that next challenge is coming up. So we do get Soderblom contract going to be done. But to your point, Mike, and Steve being very quiet about everything, the Berggren stuff, well, it seems like a shoo-in. It's still not a sure thing, especially with all the roster holes and spots that could be filled up. It's just, you know, I know Steve doesn't need to say it, but it's one of those easy ones that he's still not giving us. So it's more or less the point that if this is the kind of thing he's still keeping close to the chest, then everything will be. Also ask about Edvinsson next season and discussing about his impact. Could it be as great as Moritz Seider? You know, I love how he asks himself a question. So he probably gets asked about Edvinsson being in the lineup, and he kind of pivots the whole conversation. So Steve goes, can he have a similar impact? Well, he's a different player than Moritz, really. Both are very good young prospects, but a little bit of difference in the two of them. And we'll see how he does. Again, that is my impression of Steve Yzerman. I hope you guys like it.
Yeah, he's not a big guy on entitlement, but definitely feels like he wants you to earn every single second of ice time on his NHL team. And you know, he wasn't willing to bend even a little for his prospects. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So we always want more. We're always impatient, but he is determined to kind of take his time. And I think that's something that, you know, as we kind of make guesses and prognosticate about what his off-season plans are, like it definitely felt there's a few times where he said, you know, when I've made moves where I felt like I needed to, you know, kind of jumpstart things and, you know, kind of go ahead of my schedule, I've regretted it every single time. And so knowing Steve, how much he values like familiarity with guys and, you know, this kind of molasses approach to team building that slow and steady is going to ultimately win the race. I'm excited to see how he handles the prospects, but, you know, it's mostly going to be them, you know, playing in the minors, but it makes me, it kind of snuffs out my flame of excitement for how free agency is going to go, because kind of the way that presser went, it sounded like he's not going to be making any big splashes.
Well, we have a couple, we have a ton of questions we want Steve to answer. But Mike, we've got a couple of questions in the chat. David throws out there, he thinks we're a lot closer than we're given credit to. But he also wants to know Elmer in Grand Rapids, Detroit next year. I'm gonna put my foot down and say definitely North America and Grand Rapids. I think we have a Berggren year ahead of us for Soderblom. Oh, you know what? I'm sorry. This is actually the first question I want to go to. Jared went all the way back to the Alex Tungay conversation. Does Tungay have a job by the start of the season? Special teams were special the last half of the year. They were pretty good. So far, it looks like it, and they tried to tackle that during the press conference. And it's one of those things, right? Like, I made mention that there's no reason to like hold him close. Like it's been a year, and you have a new head coach coming in, and maybe it's time to just kind of get a whole new plan together, coaching wise. Is it really smart to hold on to anything that attaches itself to the previous coaching staff? But that could also speak to how little I know, because maybe it's just about what Tungay wants to do, and Tungay makes the call for whatever Tungay's in charge of. So I don't know. It sounds like he's sticking around for now, but we've also seen in the past with any NHL franchise, not necessarily Steve Yzerman, but they'll make the change when the timing's right. And if they see it, if they see another option, maybe they talk with their next head coach and they think it's necessary. There isn't anything that I see out of Alex where I'm like, there's your future head coach. You know what I mean? Like it's not one of those looks from my perspective. So it's not a guy you got to keep on staff to make sure that he's around for when he's ready to turn into a head coach or something.
Yeah, I guess what Steve saw in Alex, and it's so funny because we always tongue in cheek give Zadina a lot of grief that most of his success is because Vrana's healthy all of a sudden. I just wonder, is that why Tungay has a job? Because Vrana got healthy all of a sudden, and then our power play started scoring goals because Vrana was out there.
I mean, you don't want to challenge him that way because you can't just get a power play going with absolute dog crap. So I would love to have the power play percentage.
I'll say that it's more than that too.
And the Rangers. So
I'll say it's more than that too, because I have to think that Steve saw that like Lucas and Mo looked confident on the power play when they got time. Because if those guys weren't developing, I don't think Tungay would have been brought back. I think they would have just wiped everything clean. But he must have seen something in the young guys. Must have seen something about this power play looks competent when we have all the pieces that are playing the way I wanted them to play. So I don't think that leads to him being the head coach, to kind of come back on that point, but it was enough to keep his job. So, we'll see how next season goes with, hopefully, knock on wood, people being healthy.
Quick shout out to Curtis, who's tapping out early. Curtis, have a good one.
See you, Curtis.
Yeah, this is, I'm going to warn everybody here. I feel like, we're stretching out a Steve Yzerman press conference into a full episode here. So we got rough roads ahead as we wind through our off-season.
Yeah, it's okay. They can't all be marathons. No problem.
David Burns, safe call for Edmondson also next year with the question mark. David Burns does think so. Safe call. I think it's a safe call that he'll be in a Red Wings next year.
I would guarantee he's in Grand Rapids, but man, the way Steve described him, it sounded like this dude is going to be, our number 2 defenseman. I don't have the quote in front of me, but it was just basically, I look at him in a similar vein as, Sider, and, we kind of see how that panned out. So yeah, I would be stunned if he didn't get a few games in Detroit.
And then to kind of keep this conversation going, Ricky comes back in here. He wants to see Elmer dominate in Grand Rapids and put up some highlights. That would be fun.
Man, Ricky, isn't that must-watch TV? Like, just to get, 15, 17 minutes a game for Elmer at Grand Rapids? Man, I'd I'd be making that drive a couple times next season just to go watch that in person.
I failed this year. I said at the beginning of the year, I was like, well, you got to go see Berggren, so you got to go make a couple of trips. And I failed. Kids, what have you, everything gets in the way, new job. And I didn't make it. But I love Berggren. When Elmer Soderblom is playing in Grand Rapids, I mean, that is going to be nothing against Berggren, but Soderblom is going to be like absolute must-see TV. Like, I couldn't be more
I go
excited.
to Comic-Cons, I go to the Renaissance Festival, and I have never seen a real-life unicorn. But, Matt, it turns out if I go to Grand Rapids this year, I'm going to see one. I can't wait to see Elmer in person.
Or at Little Caesars Arena. Remember that was Scott Wheeler's unicorn was Edmondson. So Ricky then throws in there, wants to see Wallander and Albert prove themselves in Grand Rapids too, but I'm open for surprises. I think if we're just going to keep, it's one of those things, right? Like, how many darts are we going to be throwing at the dartboard? Might make the difference here for an Albert and a Wallander, and how many spots are open. So we all kind of said Lucas was headed for Grand Rapids, and then he gets a full year in the NHL and challenges for the Calder Trophy. So I'm not saying that they necessarily have to be in that sort of vein, that they're going to be challenging for the Calder, and that's how you get to stay on this team. But I think there's enough of a conversation to be had with how many guys are finally getting their shot. Are these Swedish draft picks, or we could say all of our boys over, our European players, that it seems like we're finally bringing, like we're going to bring the whole haul over here and get them started. Based on Steve's words, kind of feels like we're heading that direction. You just got to think, like, if we're going to put all of them in Grand Rapids, I think there's a shot, injuries could pop up. If one of them really pops off and a spot opens up, I think one of them would be a surprise. And I'm going to guess it's going to be Albert. It'd be my best guess.
I'm just I just can't wait to see how Steve does his balancing act with all these prospects. Just like if you bring them all up next year, it's just a little too early. But if you wait just a little bit too long, all your stars at the NHL level, they're going to be just about, maybe at the end of their primes. So it's like Steve, he's trying to make like 3 perfect loaves of bread, at different starting points, and he's trying to like juggle them all and make sure they all come out golden and delicious. This is going to be tough. I'm excited to see how he handles it, and it might involve a trade or two because of where those breads are at. But man, it's going to be a tough off season. But yeah, Chewy's
your boy. He's thrown in his hope. I think hope is the best word. So Chewy's kind of nailing it here, but Elmer, Bergs, and Edmondson all on the wings next season. Hope's the right way to look at it. Like, that would be fun. Like, think about how many things would fall into place. That means great training camps. That means a great preseason, and these guys just earn a spot. If these guys are in the lineup next year, we get to be super duper excited. And it's not just because it's a prospect. It's because if they're making it out of training camp, something special happened before. David's putting in his vote. Berggren, strong prospect, will develop faster for his time in Grand Rapids compared to guys coming from the SHL. My personal pick is Berggren. Now, I got to say too, David, just to clarify, I'm already penning. I've got my pen ready to go. I got a clicky top. It's on the paper. Berggren on the roster. I'm kind of thinking about all these other guys that haven't cracked the lineup yet and who's going to be making their way over with so many guys. I would put the guess in for Albert. But ultimately, if I had to put money down on it, I'm putting them all in Grand Rapids. All right. Well,
man, I'll just be prepared because there's a lot of twisty bottoms coming in. So they're not all going to be clicky tops.
You can't get a box of clicky tops just for me?
Nope. Sorry, Matt. Just ordered 1,000 boxes of twisty bottoms.
Well, we've also got Mike. There's playoffs going on. Oh, I hit the wrong button. There we go. Carolina, Mike, up 2-0 on Boston. They also have 1-0 lead in the series. That third period really got away from Boston. That was fun to watch. Got to mention, Mike, Vincent Trocheck sighting. Bouncing one off the back of Ulmeric's head. Hell of a goal. And of
It's
course,
gonna be a very rich man next offseason.
Yeah, the other guy that everybody is, I don't know, I shouldn't say everybody, but if you had to put like a percentage on it, it's probably a majority have called out Rust from Pittsburgh would be another good option. So you've got your winger and a center, and you could build another line based off of Rust last night was looking pretty good. Just for both of those guys entering their 30s, stay away from the lengthy contracts. Don't want them to be too expensive, and I can't imagine they would be. But could be one of those things that they are free agents. They're having successful seasons, so the dollar is going to hurt. But if you can keep them short, I'm okay with it. But I mean, if you take a look at those last couple of playoff games for Carolina and Pittsburgh, and you want to extrapolate that over 82 games, that's exciting. However, you take a look at like we looked at Trocheck's regular season this past year, you don't want to overspend and then you get that, you've overspent. That's the long and short of it. So, it was one of those things. I think maybe 3 episodes removed and Trocheck comes in with a hell of a goal, bouncing it off Olmerich's head. But everything else that's been going down, Colorado made Nashville look silly. Nashville, of course, declaring themselves to be hockey period town period. And then, of course, getting absolutely thrashed by the Avalanche, which is, if there's someone to be our friend for one night, it's definitely a Professor Xavier Magneto situation. But yeah, Colorado handled the new hockey period town period in Nashville pretty pretty easily.
Yeah. Matt, I was going to throw something at you here because my most exciting outcome was Toronto getting some sort of lead in the series against Tampa. But the series that, God bless America, it's the one that just, do I want to use the word frustrates? Yeah, I'm going to use the word frustrates. Like, for a team like Florida to just have a historically incredible season, what did they score, like a half more goal or a quarter more goals than every other team in the league? Like an incredible 4-line offense. And the playoffs just come down to these nuts, like, puck lucks, hot goalies, and, an Ovechkin return. And suddenly the top seed finds themselves down 1-0 to a wild card team.
Two things, typical happened. And I'm surprised that 3 things that are typical of the NHL playoffs didn't happen in, everybody's game 1. The thing that didn't happen, Toronto gets a win on Tampa Bay.
Right. Very atypical.
But typical was Florida pulling to Florida. And the way they looked, I kind of watched that game and I kept going like, oh my God, that's right. Claude Giroux. But it was just, they couldn't keep it going. And it's such a bummer because it just looked like from the start, like they were playing catch up, and it hurt to watch because Florida's my team. The other typical, Edmonton down 1-0.
Yeah, that was very quick.
I mean, hot and heavy heading into the playoffs for Edmonton. They were coming in hard and not great. Gotta go back. We're gonna go backwards though. Recchi throwing in there who he's got penned in for the lineup next year. Berggren and Edvinsson. I'm realistic. I'm realistic, I feel, but I had no clue about Raymond, and there's always that possibility a guy cracks the roster we might not see coming at all. See, Ricky and I are on the same page here. I think it's fine. This is realistic. Berggren, Edvinsson, boom. Everybody get your pens out. Get your clicky tops.
Twisty bottoms, Matt. Twisty bottoms.
Nope, clicky tops. Guys, vote in the chat. Clicky tops or twisty bottoms. I guarantee it's going to be at least 90-10.
We're talking about for writing, not for the fun sound effect that clicky tops make.
No, for writing, clicky top. No. But yeah, that Ricky nails it too. That a surprise coming in again. So I'm gonna call Albert, but
yeah, I think the Berg, that seems like a certainty at this point. But
would you consider?
Didn't we even get one season of Seider in Grand Rapids?
Yeah.
So we're saying that Edvinsson has leaped over that. expectation, and he's going to skip Grand Rapids and go right to Detroit.
Mike, yes, it's done deal. We're good to go. Ship him in.
Man, I'm not used to that kind of treatment of a prospect by the Red Wings. They slow and steady. This is the molasses team.
Just happened last year. Lucas Raymond, boom.
No, man.
Yes, it did.
Mo Seider, boom.
Lucas Raymond,
unhappened.
Yeah, but you could see last year's Seider.
Man, they left the Lord of hockey in the minors.
So, Mike,
they left the Calder winner in the minors.
Seider probably didn't need to hit the SHL in Rogel the year before. I mean, he put up like league-defining numbers. Like, all right, defensemen going forward, this is what you will try to live up to forever. So, did you need
Berggren need another season in the minors?
Huh?
Did Berggren need another season in the minors? I mean, our offense was just sizzling at the NHL level. Nothing. We couldn't find a spot for Berggren.
So you only want what your argument is Edmondson should be in the minors because we're probably not going to win the cup next year.
That is not what I said at all.
That's all I heard. Wait, so I'm confused. Do you not see what I'm saying though with Seider? Like you didn't need him to.
I'm saying you have one
destroy the SHL for a year, so he was.
You have one
good to go.
Raymond, and then you have a history of Red Wings prospects.
Right, but can't you learn? You learned that Lucas was good to go. You learned that Seider wasted a year. Could have been.
I didn't learn
had a whole
anything.
year in the
NFL. I'm always ready for prospects to get called up. Are you saying did Steve learn that?
All right, shout out to David here. Penknife for kids. David, you got an A+ today. That you nailed it. That's Jared Oh man, you guys love Scrubs.
Hey,
look at this. You guys are my buddies. Clicky top, Dr. Cox on this one.
Wait, that's Dr. Kelso. Dr. Kelso was Clicky Tops.
Kelso was Clicky Top. Cox,
Cox was spitefully. He's spitefully twisty bottoms.
Right.
Yeah.
So he actually did like Clicky Tops, though, if we want to dissect this. Mike, I've watched Scrubs
entirely too many times. Yeah.
Yeah. I've watched it enough times. I think I'm done. But yeah, I've watched a lot of Scrubs. Cox did like the Clicky Tops, so it's just the spiteful hate of them for a moment. Ricky's got a click. Eric's got the click. Mike, see, you're just getting destroyed on this, and you wanted twisty bottoms. Get out of here.
Well, everybody likes the clicky ones, but you got to be a little spiteful, like Dr. Cox.
All right. Well, we've got this conversation going about surprises, but I threw this out there on Twitter. This will kind of be, since we're lacking content, let's give a bad hot take. Another goalie of the month award, Mike, for Sebastian Cossa. 6-1-0 record, 1.56 goals against, .935 save percentage, 2 shutouts in April. Detroit Red Wings prospect and Edmonton Oil Kings netminder Sebastian Cossa named the WHL goaltender of the month. Mike, I tweeted out, someone needs an Mike, there's a typo in here. No, we can't even do this topic now.
I thought you're just emphasizing the...
Someone needs an upgrade. How did nobody call me out on that? All right. An upgrade with their level of competition. Mike, now, this goes along the Seider conversation, right? Like, and I know you're saying, like, yes, you want to see prospects. You're talking about how often do the Red Wings give these young prospects their opportunity in the NHL sooner rather than later. I'm not talking about Cossa coming up to the NHL at all. But if this kid doesn't have some sort of plan in college, like what do you do with Sebastian Cossa? Because it does feel too early to go to the AHL. So I suggest that he needs an upgrade with his level of competition. I don't know. What do you do? Do you send him over to Europe for a year? Send him over to Rogel?
I don't know. The management of like a young goalie career is just beyond my comprehension. I feel like those guys toil in the minors for way too long. And Cossa will probably do that as well.
I don't know if toil is the right word. I do like to think those, I mean, there's some guys that are like a hot slice of bacon. I mean, if you're not keeping your eye on it, that thing's gonna burn like crazy. But then you've got your slow cooking, pork butt.
Uh-huh.
You've got your 8 hours. You got to keep working at the wood chips. You got to watch your water lines with your water boat inside the smoker. You got to keep an eye on the temperature. You don't want it to get too hot. You want to dry out the meat, but you need it to hit that perfect temperature so all the fat will break down the meat, and then you can pull it apart nice and easy and make sandwiches.
I like all of our analogies are based on food. So.
Cosa's our pork butt, right? I think cider's a hot slice of bacon. Now, Mike, at any point, are you gonna say like, oh, pork butt's better than bacon? No, it's not about that. We're talking about the way they're cooked. So both of them are elite level meats, and I could shove them in me any day of the week. That's
Ooh.
right. You heard it here first.
Can I make this concession?
Yeah.
So Berggren feels pretty likely he's going to be a Red Wing next season. Soderblom feels pretty likely he's gonna play in Grand Rapids, and maybe he'll get a cup of coffee in Detroit. Edvinsson, if he's in Grand Rapids, it's not going to be for very long, and he's going to come to Detroit. Kosa, I have no fucking idea what they're going to do with that guy. No. I feel like everybody on this show could, kind of come up with similar timelines for all those other guys, or like the ones they're excited to see. But if you have a real grasp on how the Red Wings are going to handle Kosa's career, you're a liar, because I have no idea what they're going to do to that guy. I feel like he could have just had 0 goals against average the whole season, all shutouts, and we still, I don't know where they would send him on Earth, but it wouldn't be as a netminder for the Red Wings. I don't know what he would have to do.
Ace throws out there, how do you get goalie of the month in 7 to 8 games? I think that just is their schedule down there. I know what you're saying, but also those numbers are fantastic. So whatever's going on,
Ace, if there isn't a lot of competition, I won podcaster of my office 4 months in a row, so things are going pretty well over here.
Good job, Mike. Now David Burns throws out his prediction with what's going on over in Europe right now. Riga and Holinsky help expand the SHL next year, so and they get away from the KHL. Kosa goes to Grand Rapids next year or the SHL, and then he does throw in there this note that the SHL is a fast game, so could be a good challenge for Kosa. It's one of those things. I like that point by David about how fast the game is over in Europe, and more specifically, as he put it, in the SHL. Because we talk about how the game's going to change for Soderblom coming over here to the North American game. More play on the boards. You got to be tougher kind of deal has been like that's like some of the common turns of phrases that you hear of the difference between North American game and the European game. But I mean, you could throw out there, because there's more opportunity for skill. There's more space. Could be a more challenging game for Kosa to find success. And then coming back over here, everything tightens up a little bit. You got your bigger team around you. You've got guys that are supposed to be more physical, so they're going to block more pucks out in front of you. Could be a good opportunity for Kosa to get his flexing down, get his spacing down, get his I said flexing, his reflexes down.
All the X's.
Yeah, yes. Just an X. Any X word, just throw it in there. Ace thrown out there. Kosa starting at 25 in the NHL.
Well,
Derek Hand, SHL, then 10 years in Grand Rapids.
See, Derek gets it. That's exactly what is probably going to happen. Love that.
That was a good one. Crimson Shadow 94, what's going on, my man? You threw this up, guys, a second ago.
Hey, call that out. Oh yeah, my favorite thumbnail. I love that one.
I'm wondering if we're going to be putting Veleno on the second line if we don't go hard on center in this free agency. That I mean, to put out that situation, right? So we don't grab anything in free agency, and we do have one more line to talk about with Stevie. That will I think we should wrap up the show with, but I think I do feel like we will get a new center. I wouldn't even say it has to be free agency. I wonder if Steve's going to hit the trade market, even though he did tell us he's going to be as patient as can be and just wait for things to work out. That being said, what happens with that second line if we don't pick anybody up? Well, I mean, the safe answer, the easy answer is for us to be like, well, you got to wait for training camp, right? You got to see what these boys look like. But I think the more fun way is to answer Crimson and kind of throw out. I think Puce loses that second line center spot. I think we start to build something on the third line and maybe have Puce and Fabry try to get their chemistry back together when they were running the Guelph Storm line, and just see if we could find another winger to fit in there. Maybe that's where we fit in Berggren next year. I don't know. I'd rather see Berggren on the second line. But anyway, you could load up that second line, though, to help out Veleno and give him a Verana to play with. And then not going to hurt to try and see if Zadina can get that stuff going. I mean, we did see a second line built out at the end of the season here that did include Verana, Veleno, and Zadina. Didn't result in us getting like a ton of wins, but they showed some chemistry here and there. So I'm going to say Puce does lose that second line center, and I think it would be up for grabs for Veleno and Rasmussen.
I still don't understand all the. It would be. I'm going to use the word irresponsible if Yzerman didn't bring in a center. That's probably. Because our defense is so bad. It's so tough to say what our biggest hole was.
Well,
but
can we talk about the last Yzerman line then? And then we'll wrap up the show here.
Yeah, let me just I was just gonna say for the centers,
sorry.
I don't hate Veleno. I don't know where all the adoration comes from, because I just don't feel like he's shown us enough to earn the adoration. So I'm obviously willing to be patient, obviously willing to wait and see what he becomes. I haven't seen much yet, so I wouldn't put him on the second line. If he's on the second line, then I'm like, well, this is a lost season.
Yeah, I mean,
we got to do a lot better than that.
That's a fair assessment. I think there's still the part of the conversation is growth and these guys getting more familiar with the games. I think that's a fair assessment to make as well. And also, if you look at like the 9 games that Veleno played the year prior, like he looked really good. Like it was something we were excited about and we talked about. And I have like old thumbnails on my phone where my phone says, here's a picture you made a year ago. And it's us being super stoked for Veleno being in a Red Wings jersey. So like I said before, the safe answer, the real answer is we got to see what he looks like in training camp. We got to see what this thing looks like after a couple of preseason games. But I would also say, if we don't sign anybody, which you're correct, Mike, it would be irresponsible for us to not see a new name in the top 6. But if we don't, I also don't think there's enough we've seen from the rest of this roster to say that Veleno couldn't get that second line center spot.
Yeah, I don't think there's anybody outside of Larkin who's better at centering.
So to that point, it was Wojo, Mike, who never. I think, pretty famous for those who listen to Detroit sports talk radio.
Yeah, Detroit news columnist still. Yeah.
Yeah, I've given up on sports talk here in Detroit for the last, I don't know, I could probably put 8 years on that.
Wow.
So Wojo, Mike, never shows up to these press conferences because he doesn't know hockey. And he's kind of wrapping up this press conference and throws out there how many new players this team needs to make a difference. And Steve is just kind of chuckling as Wojo's throwing this out there because it's like Woj is trying to make this huge, profound statement. And he clearly had no idea that we're going to have a ton of open roster spaces. So Wojo's wrapped up and we're moving on to the next guy to ask a question. And Woj throws into his microphone the words of, Steve, you got to give us at least 5 free agents. Steve, Mike, to your point earlier about how patient he wants to be, maybe to Crimson Shadow's point that there's going to be a roster spot for Veleno. Steve says, oh, there's going to be 5 free agent signings. I just don't think you're going to like any of them. And I mean, to that point, like that's something too, I think is fun to dissect because he's talking to Wojo. I don't think he's talking to Red Wings fans. So
Right.
I think there's an element of, yeah, Woj, there's going to be free agent signings, but you, who never shows up to these press conferences, but is here because a coach got fired, you know, you're not going to know what the hell is going on. And I really enjoyed that comment. And Woj laughed at himself too. But Steve had a good laugh as well. But I do think that that is still something to dissect. I think we put our aluminum hats on and try to.
It just means that, to me, that Steve's not going to be signing like the most recognizable name. He's going to be, signing guys that he's been researching in the Yzerman lab to come aboard.
Aaron, no one on the ticket knows hockey. It is so embarrassing whenever I hear them start to discuss it. Like if I'm with our dad, he
Aaron,
has it on, and
do they know the other sports?
Yeah, that's true. That might be why I gave up on it. Like I know I had known for years.
If I have to hear
hockey talk.
one more Doug Karsh mock draft, I'm gonna wrap my car around a tree because it's so freaking annoying. Yeah, then he's doing it for 2023.
Oh,
and he does like fake trades for the Lions and fake trades for other. Who gives a shit? Who's listening to this religiously every day? Fuck that guy.
Oh man. Anyway, this Sunday, we're gonna do a mock draft for.
You triggered me, man. You triggered me with fucking mock drafts. God damn it. Go ahead.
Aaron, you get bonus points. Ace thrown out there. Rass, perfect trade bait in a couple years. Crimson thrown in there. Would love to see Rass and Soderblom on the same line. 2 nimble giants overpowering you.
Yeah,
now I will say,
Cider on the blue line, huh?
I think Rass would love more than anything to never be on the same line as Soderblom because he's going to be exposed to all hell for how terrible he is at skating.
Why don't you skate more like that 6'8" guy?
Oh man. Crimson giving us the update. Lightning scored. It's all over. Mike, 5 games. Lightning.
Oh no. Lightning win the series in 5? Yeah, I'm in. What's FanDuel got that at?
Oh yeah, that's not a bit. Oh, Victor
2-1 odds.
Unassisted power play goal. Right to end the first 2. Oh, the dagger. Oh God.
There's the close up of Matthews biting his lip. Oh fuck, it's over.
You do gotta talk about too. I know I shouldn't say this, but I did kind of like that Toronto game. Like it was fun to watch that crowd go nuts for every goal.
For once.
Like they're starving, for a cup, and I don't pity them at all. Like I just loathe them, but for one night I was like, all right, I'm just like, it got out of hand.
I know, but this is like the hockey's Detroit Lions. They find so many creative ways to blow it. Toronto.
No.
Yeah, come on.
No.
Come on.
Nah, I'm not giving you that one.
They're both blue. Come on.
I mean, in the last 10 years, I'd love Toronto Maple Leafs roster equivalent on the Detroit Lions.
I can't really debate that, but I just mean postseason success is what I was getting at. But
I mean, we got close. So you put what? Matthews with Stafford.
Oh my God, we're not doing this, Matt. All right, no. All
right, we got to sail off into the sunset. Everybody, hit that like button for us real quick. We appreciate you all coming aboard. We do want to try and do our Little Caesars game, but Matt remembered Mother's Day this Sunday. So we're going to try and do Saturday night. We're going to see how that works out. But yeah, we'll try and post thumbnail.
I'm not going to be home on Saturday night.
Oh. Okay. So when I said that earlier, that's when you say that so that I don't put it in the show. All right, guys, just keep an eye on the YouTube
Keep
channel.
an eye out. We'll DM
figure
you.
something out.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll DM each and every one of you. Good call, Mike. Who's the person that would do that? All right. Now's just a great time to ask you all to subscribe, rate, and review. Now that we can't even figure out when our next episode's going to be going live.
You got to subscribe so you know when the next one is.
That's true. And then what's the last thing? Oh, right. Shop, bodpodcast.com. Hit the shop button on the homepage. You guys can see, I guess they're not really relevant anymore, but we had our hashtag Save Us Verana. But there's still Red Wings Rant stuff. So, yeah, enjoy. But yeah, thanks for coming along, guys. We will see you guys hopefully. I guess Mike's going out of town
this weekend.
The whole weekend.
No, I just said Saturday night. I'm not home.
Oh, Saturday night. All right. Maybe we could figure something out in the daytime.
Yeah.
Thank you. Sunday's Mother's Day. I got responsibilities as a father.
Oh, Lord.
Mike, see, when you have kids.
I know, but when is there going to be a day for fathers?
I don't know if I want to record on Father's Day. I just want to sit there with a beer on the porch, just toast in the sun.
Like a slice of toast?
Yeah.
Like a nice, just liquid bread and a slice of bread.
That sounds nice, doesn't
Sounds
it?
awesome.
Just like a nice buttered piece of toast. When was the last time you had a buttered piece of toast?
What day is today? I had that on Saturday.
Wow. Man, good for you.
It's great not having kids.
Yeah.
I just eat buttered toast all the time.
Like, you know how often, like, my therapist is like, oh, you got to choose you. And it's like, I wish I could. And then I look at everybody else's life and it's like just one big choose me. And Matt's got to choose somebody else.
Here it comes.
Don't have kids, everybody.
Here it comes. This could be a 4-hour episode. All right, Matt, let's write off. Jesus.
What if I just sat here and let the camera roll for another time? All right, see you guys.